Hello. Now I just need to make sure the system sounds are off. Oh bollocks. Need to find my stream as well. Well, this is a good start. Can't even find my own live stream. So, one person's found it. Hello, one viewer. You know what's really dumb? I don't know how to link my own stream without going onto my own channel and clicking on it. So that is great. There we go. I've got it.
Chat longer with free data every month on EE Pay As You Go.
There we go. I've got it.
Chat longer with free data every month on EE Pay As You Go.
I have posted it everywhere it needs to be posted.
Chat longer with free data every month
so
on
there's no
EE
echo. Right then. This is a AMD Ryzen 1800X. There you go. It's a pretty nice box. But we don't really care about the box. As you can see, it's brand new, sealed, and the motherboard I will be using for Ryzen to start with anyway is this Asus Prime X370 Pro. I haven't opened any of these yet. I've literally plonked the boxes on there after opening them and then started streaming. So I suppose we've got two people watching, so I'm going to start the unboxing if I can actually find my knife, which would be great. Aha, there it is. So we've got the knife to cut the seal. I wonder if it's actually one of those boxes where the no, it isn't. Anyway, there it is. It is officially opened. So we're going to open the CPU first. Now, I don't know whether you've seen Ryzen unboxings already, but the 1800X don't come with a stock cooler. And I haven't actually got any cooler mounts, so we're going to go with some cable ties. So I'll put that piece of box back in there. You can see it comes with a little AMD Ryzen sticker when it focuses. Focus please. There we go. You can see the AMD Ryzen sticker and the actual CPU. So in this little box we have a little packagey thing and that thing which says installation instructions, because we need a manual on how to install the processor. Some people might, I hope I don't, otherwise I really shouldn't be doing this. I don't know why they bother making a box so big, to be honest. I mean, they could just send you that little box and that would be fine, so that's just a waste of packaging, but at least it looks nice, I suppose. It's quite a nice looking box. So yeah. Anyway, the CPU, no foam, just the bare CPU and its little clamshelly thing. Doesn't look like it's ever been used, so that's good. So no one's saying anything at the moment. So we'll get on to opening the motherboard anyway. So I'll just pop it on the test bench here. Get the board out. See what accessories we get. Driver disc, I might actually need that. Cable mod code, probably won't going to be used that. I might actually need the user guide. SATA cables, don't care. Don't care. Quick connector thing could possibly be useful. That little connectory thing, because I don't think this has onboard buttons. Or does it? Probably should have checked that. Anyway, what's this? Oh, a high bandwidth SLI bridge. And you get an I/O shield, which don't care about. So, and actually that optical driver disc is kind of pointless because I don't have an optical disk drive anymore. So I'll move the box off to the side because nobody cares about the box. Well, they might do, but no one said anything in chat, so they're not going to get it, are they? Right. So here's the motherboard, and I actually need to put the thing in the anti-static bag. So there it is. It's fairly light. I'll just stick it on the test bench for now. I'll put this anti-static bag away in the box. The box actually feels higher quality than the board itself, which is pretty funny. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chokes and another 2 there, so I presume it's like a 4-phase with doublers. These heat sinks here are just silver aluminium, and you can see they actually are heat sinkish. So they've actually got fins, they're not just a giant block like some of the boards are. So yeah, the DDR slots are just like normal DDR slots, nothing special there. A few fan headers, 8-pin, RGB header, no one cares about that, well I don't. And a white thing on top of that heatsink at the bottom, which I don't care about. And yeah, there it is. So it doesn't have any onboard buttons, so this little thing here, I'll have to use that and a screwdriver to turn it on. PCIe slot things, those cheap crappy ones like you get on the Asus Rampage 5 Edition 10. The board is like super thin, and sort of lightweight feeling. It doesn't feel that bendy. No, maybe it is quite bendy. We've got a stock AM4 backplate on here, and yeah, there's stock mounts for that, so I'll be taking those off. For rear I/O, we have a PS2 port, which is the only thing you really need, and the rest is pretty pointless really, apart from maybe the Ethernet port. You might need one of those and a couple of the USBs to work, but other than that, couldn't really care less. So yeah, pretty basic standard motherboard, nothing really exciting. So we'll stick it on the test bench anyway. In fact, we won't stick it, yeah we will. I'll stick it on the test bench. I don't know about any of its features because I haven't really read them. All I know is that it supports DDR4 memory and my Ryzen CPU will fit in it, and that's all that really matters, to be honest. So as long as it goes on these motherboard standoffs, we couldn't be caring too much. There we go, locked and loaded. So I'll just try and get a bit of a better camera position there. Superb. Right then. Still a whopping 2 people watching. So we've got the AMD Ryzen 1800X CPU. There it is in the open. So I'm going to stick that in the socket. The socket doesn't click, unfortunately, when it gets to the top, which is annoying. It just kind of flops around. It's kind of shoddy. And the little triangle thing's in this corner here, so I presume there's a triangle on the CPU. Yeah, there is. So have a look at the pins. Don't know if you can see that. The pins are a lot smaller than they are on the AM3 Plus chips. Oh my days. Whatever, the pins are smaller. You know what pins look like? Well, I hope you do anyway. So we'll plonk that in there, 0 insertion force. Yeah, that's definitely in there. I'll get an AM3 CPU so you can see the size difference. So I've got a another right, so we've got this motherboard here with the what's this? An FX 4100 in it. So I'll do a bit of a size comparison between this and the Ryzen chip. I'll just stick that board off to the side there. So as you can see, I'll bring you in a bit closer here. They are pretty much the exact same size. So that's not very exciting, is it? I'll just put this FX 4100 back in here. So as you can see, the differences between this old AM3 board is mainly that it's got no North Bridge and the DDR3, and other than that, it's a pretty similar board really. I'd say this is the Asus M5A 99X Evo. So yeah, this board is probably about the equivalent of this for AM3 Plus. So I need to find a cooler to mount to it. And so I don't think the stock mounts are going to work with any coolers that I have, apart from a stock AM3 cooler, which I have up here. 1 second. That's well stuck on there. So I have this stock AM3 cooler here. So I'll probably just clean the paste off that, just to see if the motherboard is compatible with my DDR4. And I've got my DDR4 sticks over here. It's Team Group Extreme, and I've got 2 sticks. That one doesn't have any heat spreaders on it. These are Samsung E-Die or something, I think. So I'm not entirely sure whether to use the grey or the black memory slots, but I'm just going to go for the black ones and kind of hope for the best. So shove those in, and goes that way around. There we go. Nice clicky memory slots. That's that sorted out. So cooling wise, this is going to be interesting. I'll see if this AMD AM3 heatsink fits first. So I'll just move you back a bit so you can see what I'm doing here. Not actually that exciting, I'm just going to clean the thermal paste off it, to be honest. But yeah. So we're using a stock cooler on an 8-core CPU. This should be interesting. This heatsink actually came with an FX 4130 that I bought. I do have another one somewhere as well, but I pulled the fan off it, so I don't know where that's gone. Anyway, here it is. So I'm just going to check that it fits on the mounts. I'm not actually plugging it on for any real reason. So if I can't cable tie my better coolers on for any reason, then we'll be forced to use this. So it would seem that this isn't going to work, as the Ryzen CPU looks to be a fair bit taller. Or maybe I just haven't put this on properly. 1 second. I just haven't put it on properly. There we go. So these clip-on coolers, if anyone's still got them, they should definitely work. That just seats on there, just like it would on AM3 Plus. So if you want to use one of those, I suppose you could. CPU fan is that white one there. So yeah. Someone is actually in the chat. Hello, Not So Samurai. Missed the first part. Well, all I did was I unboxed the Ryzen 7, and I've got a 1800X, and we're running on an Asus Prime X370 Pro. So I've literally just set it up. I haven't plugged anything in yet, turned it on yet or anything. So you haven't missed too much, don't worry. I've just tested it whether an AM3 Plus cooler fits. This is just a stock cooler, and it does. So if anyone wants to run an AM3 stock cooler while their mounts come, they can definitely do that. I, however, will not settle for a stock cooler unless I can't get one of my Fantex coolers to fit, So we're going to be coming straight off with these stock mounts. Guess I don't really do stock cooling, to be honest. So that's the little retention clip thing that you get for AM4. It looks a bit better than the old ones, I have to admit, but at the end of the day it's for a stock cooler, so it's no good to me. I do actually have some slightly better coolers that will fit with a retention clip like that, but to be honest they're not as good as my Fantex coolers, which I want to use for my initial testing. So I want to use something fairly decent, to be honest. Now, I don't know whether my memory will be compatible with the motherboard, which is the only other issue. So this memory is very, very quick, and I have no idea how this backplate comes off. I bet it might be stuck on the back of the board, so I'm going to have to take the board off the test bench. And you can't see what I'm doing, like a genius. So there's this back plate here, and that needs taking off somehow. I think it just must push off, but it does seem a little bit stiff. So I'll just prop the board up. There we go. That's one popped out. Two pops out. Three. And four. So there we go. It is actually, there's some like sticky stuff on the back, which is why it was stuck to the board. So I'll stick the board back on the test bench here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to screw the stock mounts back in here so I don't lose the bits, because I'm probably going to sell this board as soon as some decent AM4 boards come out. Unfortunately, even the Crosshair 6 Hero is a bit subpar by my motherboard standards, to be honest, at the moment. So I'm hoping for like an ASRock OC Formula, or maybe a Gigabyte SoC Force, or even a Crosshair 6 Extreme or a Crosshair 6 Apex would be nice. But I just went with this Prime for now, just to get up and running. I didn't want to spend a ton of money on a board that I might sell in a couple of months. So I didn't think there was much point in that, so I just bought a fairly basic but X370 board, because I didn't want to be a B350 board, because they probably wouldn't overclock as well, from what I've heard. Hello, Greg. The memory is it's this Team Group Extreme, and this is the XMP for this is like 3866, and all I've done is I've just taken the heat spreaders off. There's actually no memory chips on the other side, because I just wanted to see if they were single or double sided and what dies there were. So as you can see, that one hasn't got a heat spreader on. It doesn't affect the performance. I've run these sticks at 1.75 volts on Skylake with no issues whatsoever. So we need to mount a cooler, because if we can't mount a cooler, we're fairly stuffed. So this, wait a second, this is a Fantex Basically they're dual tower cooler, as you can see. It's a fairly decent sized cooler, 140mm fans. So the plan is cable tie that on there somehow, and she'll be good. Now it's actually best with Ryzen to put the heatsink across so that these heat pipes here go across the die, and the die on Ryzen goes down the middle of the CPU, down there. You can see that on DeBauer's D-lid video. The die is actually right in the middle, so it's probably better to put the heatsink this way around rather than the conventional that way round. And for a graphics card, I'm going to be using the GT610, so it doesn't matter that I'm going to be blowing heat into the graphics card, because I'm only going to be doing 2D benchmarks on this platform today, now. It'll probably take me a while to learn it, because I've obviously never used a Ryzen CPU before. Yeah, monster size cooler. You have the orange one. I have a nice red one as well. So I have two of these because I like them so much. But unfortunately they don't come with AM4 mounts, so I've got some of these. These are universal heatsink mounts, also known as cable ties or wire ties or whatever you want to call them. So we'll have a bit of a test fit, see if we can get the cooler strapped to this somehow, and then we'll stick a fan on it. Now, I will need some thermal paste as well, because that always helps. So I'll try and work out what's the best way to put this on first. I'll bring you down so you can sort of see at kind of my level. So I'm going to have to put some cable ties up through the holes in the board where the actual mounting holes are, and I'm thinking of going through this heat pipe here and through the one at the other side, across and then underneath, and then through the hole again. So hopefully that should be okay. Now I just need to work out approximately how many cable ties I'm going to need for each side. I presume it'll be 3 or 4, but I'm not 100% sure on this. So I'll just link a couple together and sort of see how they go. We're probably going to need 3 by the looks of it, I'm going to guess. So yeah, probably 3. So once I have 3 together, I think we'll be alright. Just trying to work out what's the best way to sort of tie them all together, really. So what I'll probably do is I'm going to paste the CPU. So I'm just going to put a blob in the middle. There we go. That is plenty. I'm going to plonk this on here. And then all I need to do is sort of get all these cable ties pointing in the right direction, which is going to be quite fun. I will need my wire cutters so I can cut these end bits off here as well. So I'll just leave a little bit on for now. So this is going to be a bit difficult for you to see, but you can see the other mounting hole just there on that side. So I'm going to try and stick it sort of through the heat pipe on the end there, and then pull that through there, and that's going to go underneath through the hole. Oh, goes my screwdriver off the desk. I might as well leave it on the floor. Just keeps wanting to go there, so I'll let it be free. This is rather awkward, I have to say. I think Linus is a bit more of a pro at this than I am. I might actually need 4 cable ties looking at it right now, so I want to thread that one through there and through the hole in that one. This is a good start, isn't it? Get a £500 CPU, go straight to cable ties. We don't mess about. Now I need to poke that through the motherboard. There we go. I need to grab that bit from the other side as well. Yeah, that ain't gonna reach. So I'm gonna need 4 cable ties on each side, unfortunately. Well, I suppose it's not that unfortunate really. Just means I have to use a few more cable ties. Well, until I get my Fantex mounts, and I'm also getting mounts from Thermalright as well, for my other Thermalright coolers, because I've got a couple of those. I just ordered it for basically all of my coolers, so I was going to see which one had come first, but unfortunately none of them have come before my actual processor. So this is highly recommended, by the way. I do endorse cable tying things, especially heat sinks, on, because I mean, Linus does it and he's a pro. So if he does it, you should be able to do it at home. It's also much cheaper than buying actual mounts, the proper mounting hardware as well. So there we go. That's through there. So I just need to stick that bit through there underneath. And we need one more cable tie underneath, I think. And then we're all good. Right. So I just need to centre that, wiggle it around a bit. Now hopefully when I tighten it, it will kind of centre itself. That's what I hope anyway. Now I've got my last 2 cable ties here, and I'm going to have to do them underneath the motherboard, which is interesting because the motherboard cut out on this Dismas Tech Mini is a bit craptastic, to be honest. So just threading it on underneath. That is now on. That's good. And I'll thread that one through there. Right, I don't want to tighten that up too much yet, so I want to get this other side on, which might actually be more tricky because unfortunately the cutout's only to this standoff, and the mounting holes are usually about here on Intel and AMD CPUs alike, so it can be a bit awkward mounting coolers with this test bench, unfortunately, but I'm kind of used to it by now, and luckily I've got fairly small hands so I can reach underneath it and thread these cable ties okay, hopefully. And the best thing is as well, because this is a PGA, instead of a LJ like the Intel motherboards with the pins in the motherboard, you don't actually need a lot of mounting pressure to for the CPU to function. So that is really useful, especially when you cable tie your cooler on and you don't want to crank it down too hard. So I'm nearly there now. Managed to get it under through there. Super. That is fully cable tied on. Look at that. Linus would be proud. Superb. I have to say I'm quite impressed with that. That's gone really quite well. Better than I expected anyway. So yeah, it doesn't have a back plate, so it isn't the most stable thing ever, or tightest thing ever either actually, but it'll do. Luckily this test bench doesn't allow the board to bend too much either, which is another problem when using cable ties, because you don't have a back plate. So it's kind of loose, but it should hold alright, I hope. So I'll just pull that one down a bit through there. Actually, there's a fair bit of slack on that one. Could get that out. There we go. That side's nice and tight now. There we go. Saw it move a bit there. Super, I think that'll just about do. And luckily the IHS of the Ryzen CPU is actually really small, so all these heat pipes, all 5 of them, go across it perfectly. If you were using something like a Thermalright Silver Arrow, I think the base of it would actually be a bit too big. So this has worked out quite well, really. It's not the straightest cool amount ever, but it should do the trick. So now that I've got that mounted, whoops, I'll read some comments. Yeah, cable ties Velcro, genius. I do not have a comparable Intel build at the moment. I did used to have a i7 5960X, which I had for 2 whole weeks, and I sold that because I knew Ryzen was coming out and the price was in the tank as soon as it came out, which it has done. And yeah, bought Ryzen instead. So we've got a nice red Fantex fan I will be putting in there. There we go, that's plugged in. The heatsink isn't entirely stable, but it's stuck on, so not going anywhere. I'll plug in the CPU power, correct way around. 24 pin, that always helps. So, you know, power to the motherboard, that kind of thing. It would be nice to have an extra 4 pin or 8 pin, because when I'm running this on single stage phase or LN2, it could pull a fair few watts. I don't know whether it'll actually use enough watts to break the 8 pin, but it's always nice to have that extra reassurance. We want a nice drive. So I've got one that says Skylake 2D on it. That's what it's labelled as. So I don't actually have a Z170 board anymore, so this will have to do. Now I have been told that a Windows 7 boot, which has just been installed on Skylake or Z77 or Z97 should work perfectly fine. So we will find that out very, very shortly. I need a graphics card in. So, yep, GT610. This is an EVGA GT610, 2 gigabytes of GT610 Fury. This thing runs at like 103 degrees if you try and max it out, and the fan is small and terrible. Other than that, there's not much to say about it, to be honest. I'm going to put that in the top PCIe slot, obviously, and I'm going to be plugging the SATA drive into a random SATA port. And I've just realised I need this little connectory thing to turn it on. So I'll open that. And I have no idea which pins it goes on. Suppose it goes on this one down here. Like one of those USB things where you have to turn it around multiple times to get it to fit. Come on, there we go. That's on now. And that is it. PC built Lawrence style. So the only other thing I need is a USB stick to update the BIOS, which I haven't prepared, obviously. I need a PS2 keyboard because it won't have any USB drivers on it yet. So this awful white one, which I have here, which is my USB keyboard, is going to go bye-bye. And we're going to use the lovely Acer keyboard. Sorry if I hit the mic with the cable there. So, right, everything is plugged in. So I suppose, now this is the other issue with this board, it doesn't have a postcode readout. So if my memory doesn't work, we're kind of stuffed. How nice. I really didn't think this through when I bought this board. I should have bought a an ASRock Professional or the Crosshair, but whatever. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, then this is going to be a very short, boring stream, I suppose, isn't it? So the monitor is on. I will move you back a bit so you can actually see the screen, and I'll try and get the camera so the tripod isn't falling over as much. There you go. Actually, bring you a little bit closer here. Wow, my filming skills are impeccable today, I have to say. Right, now it needs turning on, so we'll do that. Need a screwdriver or some other metal object. It doesn't actually matter, to be honest. I'll turn the power supply on as well. So off we go. No lights. Oh, some lights have come on. Don't know if you can see on the wall there. If I stand in the way of the light, you can see the amazing RGB lighting, which adds an extra 100 megahertz onto all your overclocks going on. I'll just get the camera. It's just over there on the whatever that area is, audio area. So we've got some pretty lights. Boot it. Yeah, it's a Logitech GC920 or something, I don't know. It is a C920 for the guy who asked. There you go, Logitech C920 HD Pro webcam. There's a 922 or something, but this one was on eBay for 30 quid, so thought I might as well get this one while it was cheap. So for the power switch, I think it's that one. The fan is spinning, is making noise. The screen did something, although I'm not sure what. Well, that was an anticlimax, wasn't it? The fan is spinning, but we're not getting a display on the screen. So, not sure what's going on there. The joys of doing things live, I suppose. Everything is spinning. Oh, there we go. We've got a thing on the screen. New CPU installed. 8 cores, wow. I'll try and bring you in a bit closer for that. Wait a second. Boom. So I haven't got a capture card yet. So we're still using the webcam to film the screen as well, as everyone loves. And I haven't got the mouse plugged in either, so me trying to move the mouse just then didn't go too well. So this is the Asus Easy Mode BIOS thing. Looks awful. Yep, I will be running Cinebench. I will be running many things. CPU looks pretty toasty. Maybe my cable ties need to be a bit tighter. So it's idling at like 40 degrees. I need to check what BIOS it's on as well, and I need to get it out of idiot mode. Advanced mode, F7, there we go. So now I've got it out of idiot mode, or noob mode, whatever you want to call it. Oh look, we've got an auto overclock, how kind. Now then, we need to configure things. Need to check what BIOS it's running first actually. So I've no idea where that is. Oh, it will be here. So it's got the 502 BIOS on it. So I'll check the Asus website and see if there's a worse, newer BIOS to come out. I know one came out for the Crosshair on Friday, and that was a lot better. But is this any good? Drivers and tools, Windows 7 BIOS. Oh good, there is a new BIOS from the 28th of February. This one is from the 24th of February. But clearly the board is working, so I'm actually going to try and boot in this BIOS. I'm going to try and just boot as stock. So we will see if it can boot Windows 7 and what happens. So I don't know whether all these SATA ports are disabled, so that doesn't look very good to me. Oh, it's the hot plug. Okay, so I've got mine in SATA port number 7 or 8, whatever. Does not matter. Yeah, I think we'll just boot in at whatever it's at now and see how she goes. Actually, I'll change the fan speed to 100% because fan speeds. Here we go, fan speed 600 RPM. So where's CPU fan speed? Right, I want to change it though. Oh, look at that, a nice stock voltage of 1.438 volts. You can't even see that, can you? Stock voltage 1.4 volts, so that's nice. Q fan control, here we go. This is what I want. CPU fan control disabled. So it's at 100% now, so I'll just reboot. I'll need to look at the chat. Yeah, unfortunately I'm incapable of sounding excited, so it is very unfortunate, but I am genuinely excited, even though I might sound quite bored. Well, it's booting. We have a Windows screen saying please wait, and a welcome screen. And Windows saying that it's not activated, and I haven't got a mouse, and I keep trying to move the mouse. I need to plug the mouse in. Which cable is it? That one. So I'll plug the mouse in and see if it works. Nope. Okay then. Now we are going to have a fun job getting drivers on without a USB stick. Oh, it's installing a driver for something in the corner, which you can't see because I haven't changed the wallpaper colour yet. So we'll go on the start menu. Bollocks. There we go. Control panel. This is how to operate a computer with a keyboard. Change desktop background. Oh, no, I want to go on the colours. Let me go on the colours. There we go. You can see what's happening now. Save changes. Right, now that can go away. Oop. There we go. So it hasn't installed a driver for my mouse, clearly, because the mouse is not lit up. So I'll try it in a different port. There's quite a few different ports to choose from. Spoiled for choice. You only really need 2 USB 2 ports for a PC that I want to function. So that one doesn't work either. Does this one work? Nope. Does that one work? No. Excellent. What's up with Ryzen? I could bench the old and new BIOS for comparison. That is a great idea. Oh look, I can restart the PC. But first, I'll restart the PC, see if any of my USB drivers have decided to install themselves. Now this Windows 7 is actually really good because it has no updates on it. It's just a fresh install with updates disabled, so there is quite a low chance of this actually working without just the keyboard, which will be kind of annoying, but whatever. Well, they were right about it being slow to boot up, because so far it's actually slower than a old Sandy Bridge CPU to boot up, but that is kind of expected considering. Let's try and get this mouse working, shall we? Nope. Now what I should have done is I should have put the USB drivers on the SSD itself for this board, and then I could have installed them with the keyboard. So I really didn't think this through. This is why they need to put USB 2 ports on motherboards, no matter how new they are, because just 2 USB 2 ports would be fine. Okay, so that is not going to happen. So, because that isn't happening, I'll just use the keyboard because laziness. We'll open CPU Z. Oh bollocks, I need to change background again. Right. There we go. So my Ryzen CPU is running at 1.4 volts, now 0.3, 4.1 gigahertz all of the time, so that's clearly great for power saving. I haven't got it plugged into the power meter, so that was kind of a bad choice, wasn't it? Oh well. So yeah, I want to go back to the desktop, but the Alt tab isn't working. So Alt tab onto that, and Alt F4 it, and then go onto the Start menu, and we'll run Cinebench because that is the first thing we need to do. We might need to change the resolution as well, so you can actually see what's going on. So we'll do that. So where are we? There we go. 1920 by 1080. Yes, please. Apply. And we need to press Keep Changes. And now the camera's gone all dark. How nice. There we go. Right, now I need to work out which buttons run. That one. There we go. We're off. First Cinebench on Ryzen for me. Camera's not working. There it is, going around 16 threads, I think. Is it 16? I hope it's 16 anyway. Wow. There you go. 1613 at stock speed. It is faster than some Joule X 5650s. Amazing. So that's miles off the highest score I've ever got, I have to say. But there it is. There's a stock score from an AMD Ryzen CPU. Right, so I'll actually pay attention to some chat and see what they're saying. Right, the motherboard. No, we don't want display drivers. Display drivers would hinder performance. I've got another SSD with display drivers on. The motherboard, for anyone who's new to the stream who wasn't on it earlier, is an Asus Prime X370 Pro. It's not the best motherboard ever, but that's what we're using. We've got an 1800X, and we're using this over here as a test setup. Got a Fantex cooler which is cable tied on. We've got a Fantex fan which is just in there, and a nice GT610. So yeah, and in fact I'm going to run the benchmark in real time because I'm a pro. Now then, this is kind of tricky. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so what I want to do is go and show processors from all users, please. Okay, or not. So the other thing I'm going to try, how do you right click on a keyboard? That is the question. You can't. You might be able to. No? Okay then. Well, we'll not do that. Yeah, I need to get some mouse drivers because I am a noob. Yeah, this thing has Aurora, as in the RGB bit on the side there. I would have thought it'd have an LED behind this top PCI slot thing, but apparently it doesn't. So that is a thing. Right, without shutting down the streaming PC, this is actually going to be rather tricky to get my my USB drivers on here. So what I might be able to do is find an optical drive, and if I can find an optical drive, then we can use that. Now I don't have an optical drive, so I do have an optical drive in this lovely PC over here. So I'll have that. 1 second. I'll just get these Cooler Master thingies off. Yes, I'm making lots of mistakes because I did zero preparation. What happened was, I came home from work, opened the box, and then just put it on there and started live streaming. So that's always a good way to start live streaming. And what I might actually do is I might just break this optical drive out of here. There we go. There we go. I've freed the optical drive from its lovely Cooler Master case. So I've got one now. Look at that. And it's even a SATA one as well. I have an IDE one somewhere, but SATA cable. Yes, one of those. SATA cables. So the last time I used an optical drive might have been in Never. So if anyone knows a good guide on how to use an optical drive, or where I actually put the optical drive onto the board, there we go. I can't believe they don't ship the drivers on a USB stick. It's very old fashioned, but I suppose it saved me, so well. I've heard that optical drives do benefit from SATA power as well, so I suppose I better plug that in. The other thing is I don't actually know whether this optical drive works, because of course I've never used it before. Oh, look at that. Made a noise. There we go. You can't see that, can you? That's no good. There we go. It's an optical drive. Put the disc in. Oh no. That didn't go too well, did it? Let's try again. rejected itself. Wow, like a CD player. Impressive. Right, anyway, it's nearly in Windows, so it even makes noises, does optical drive. Flipping heck, it's loud, I can hear it from here. So now I'm using a PS2 keyboard, so I'll change the background again. This resolution's actually pretty bad for the webcam, so I might actually lower it down a bit. Just desktop resolution. Yeah, we'll go to that one. Hopefully that one's better. Oh, that's much better. That is a much nicer resolution. Super. Right, now I need to open this optical drive. Look, there it is. I can see it. No. 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 Oh, bollocks. Watch Lawrence how to use a keyboard in full HD. Got the right one, there we go. Well, there's lots of things on that. Oh, there we go. Drivers. Software. Wow. This is like 1980s. Want a USB driver, please? Windows 7 hotfix 2.0. I'll have that. There's a readme file, but we're going to install that one. There we go. Update is not applicable to your computer. Well, that is fine by me, because I don't like updating things either. So, I want to go back out of this. Back into there. Back into there. So, I'll have a USB driver first. Oh, there goes the optical drive. I actually want to go back out of here. God damn it. And someone is calling me. Well, they can go away, because I know who that is. Burn disk. Yeah, that's what you should do with disks. Burn them. Well, we'll have an Asus set up. I'll let Asus set it up, because they clearly know best. No, I don't have any drivers for USB. I am using the PS2 port. This is why I got a board with a PS2 port, because I knew that I'd be an idiot and this would happen. I need to agree to this, otherwise it won't go well. And for some reason my arrow keys aren't working, so that doesn't help either. There we go. Well, it's really not liking my my Windows here. So yeah, I don't like that driver. Well, this is terrible. Drivers. See if we can get a chipset driver. And if that doesn't work, I'm pretty doomed. So here we go again. I need a small tripod to go here. I've got a small tripod somewhere actually. I'll just plop you back on the big one for now. And aha! Might actually be doing something this time. Oh, there we go. That's better. Got this little tripod here, so that might be better for propping you up in the front of the screen, potentially, or maybe not. It's a bit close to the screen, that's the only trouble. So let's have a go. Oh, it's detecting my hardware. That's always good. Sorry, I'm just moving your tripod onto a smaller one here. There we go. You're in. You're in. Oh, look at that. It's a great angle. It's very artistic. So, I want to do a custom install, because I don't want all the crap. Actually, I do want all that crap. That looks good. Well, actually, I don't want that one. I want to install it. There we go. Just think very shortly I might even be able to use my mouse. I'll even straighten you up a bit. Wow. Listen to that optical drive roar. Oh, that's better. I can even tilt the monitor down so that it doesn't look like I've got a terrible angle on the webcam. Hey up. There's a mouse on the screen. I'll plug it into this USB port over here actually, because there we go. It's interesting that the top half of the screen is in focus and the bottom down here isn't. Not entirely sure how it manages that, but whatever. So, how exciting is this? It's almost like it's crashed, but I think it is actually just the CD drive being a CD drive, which is slow, so you know. Yes, that is rather wobbly. There is high potential that the camera might just fall over randomly, so if you take a tumble, that's pretty sad, but I won't cry over it. See, it's always stuck on the Microsoft bit, isn't it? Very slow. Oh, CD drive's making noises. And it's off again. Full speed ahead. I think it was just having a rest in the middle there. Installing SATA drivers, installing USB drivers, yeah. Is going well. Look at it go. USB 3 hub. Wow. Hopefully all my mouse and keyboard and everything work after this. Fingers crossed anyway. Yes, your graphics card is ready. Well, that is impressive, because I haven't got an AMD graphics card in there. But we shall attempt to restart, which is easier said than done. AMD software. Restart now. Super, the mouse lights even come on. We might have got a mouse. Just waiting for it to reboot. We have Windows. Oh yes, a mouse. Aha! Desktop background colour. So you can see. There we go. Look at that. Lovely jubbly. Right then, we've even got ASRock OC formula drive on here, so... Right, let's see if core temp works. Well, look at that, we've got 16 cores according to core temp. 16 cores and 16 threads. How confused it is. Right, tools. Tools. Wow, there's some pretty spectacular memory timings there. You can see my XMP. Beautiful 3866 at 19, 20, 20, 40, 60. Very impressive. Oh, let's run this benchmark. Wow, that is impressive. Well, I don't know if you can see that, but it's getting like 1800 megahertz, so it must really, really hurt. And I'll bring up another CPU Z here so we can see what frequency it's boosting to. So currently it's at 4.1, so I'll just go on bench CPU again. So single thread, it's boosting to 3.7, which is slow. And multi-thread, it is boosting again to 3.7, so it's pretty consistently slow. That's good. And heatsink wise, the heatsink isn't heating very much, so I suppose that's a good thing. Or a bad thing. So there you go, 18,587. New record, 10 people, yeah, well, they've left now, so you must have scared them away. I'll personally blame that on you. Right, Cinebench R15, and we're going to do a Lawrence Classic here. So I'm going to run it in normal mode. So let's see what gigahertz it's running at. The screen's going to go black and the camera's going to go out of focus, so it's going round and round and round. Well, it's definitely not the fastest CPU I've ever owned. So far, anyway. Hopefully it will be eventually. Right, there we go. 1608. So, we will... Oh, I didn't look what frequency it got up to. That was genius. I presume it was at 3.6. So we're going to go on Show Processors from all users. Close Explorer, because we don't need that. Set the priority to real time. Now the other thing is as well, there's supposed to be like another version of Cinebench that works better on these AMD CPUs, but I haven't seen that yet. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to run both the single core. Actually, I should have run the single core test not real time, but it won't make a difference anyway. So I'm going to stick Cinebench in the bottom corner there, and I'm going to run it in real time mode. So off it goes. I have no idea when it's going to finish. We've dropped 195 frames since starting the stream, which isn't very good, is it? So it's possible that my phone might be on Wi-Fi. No, it isn't. So we just have to wait a few minutes for it to finish the multi-thread and single thread. So if anyone has any questions or whatever, you can put them in the chat. Everyone's going to be like, oh, this is boring, but this is how you get a decent score in Cinebench. Even though it looks nice, that's not the best way to run it. This is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look on HardwareBot and see what other people are getting in Cinebench. Hopefully a few people have actually posted now. Alright, so it looks like a few people are posted. One guy's just run at stock 3.7 gigahertz, got 1636, which is a respectable score. So the scores vary from sort of well over 2000 on LN2 to sort of the 1600 area. So I'm seeing quite a few people at 4.1, 4.2 gigahertz on air and water cooling. There's a guy at 5.2 on LN2, a guy at 5.3 on LN2, and a guy at 5.1 on LN2, and then another guy at 5.36 on LN2. So, yeah. Hello, George. Right then. If it hasn't finished the single thread test by now, I think it's slow. Oh yeah, it's slow, look. 618, and the single thread test is still going. So how boring is that? I'm pretty sure I have Core 2 Duos faster than this. It's funny actually, it kind of looks better on the stream than it does on OBS. But I don't know if that's because the stream window that I'm watching is smaller. Probably. It'd be interesting to know what temperatures it's running at, but yeah, I don't know what temperatures it's running at, so that's a thing. a whopping 9 people watching, and I'm not surprised because the quality of this stream with the amount of preparation I did is going to be pretty low. It's not going to be good. You need a lot to talk about during these single thread benchmarks, I have to say. What an enjoyable way to spend your evening, watching an AMD CPU do single threaded benchmarks. Oh, it's actually finished. So we've got 163 points. So mine is clearly faster than AMD's results by a whole 1 point. So that's all good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to screenshot this in 1080p. Whoopsie daisies, we do not want to change the theme. I like this theme, it's really nice. It's even got a grey start button. The worst things are, for like the average person, like gamer or whatever, expects RGB, lots of USB ports, lots of SATA ports. I would prefer no SATA ports apart from 1 or 2. Might be a good idea to have 4 actually, just in case one of the controllers breaks. But yeah, so we'll get CPU-Z up here. I don't know if there's a new version of CPU-Z out for Ryzen. Should probably check that as well. Yeah, I think there might be, because most people have a nice Ryzen logo there. But that is possible, that's because they might be running on Windows 10 actually. So we'll have a look. No, this is the latest version of CPU-Z. So it must just be the fact that I'm on Windows 7 and everyone else is running Windows 10 because they're clearly noobs. Because it's a well-known fact that Windows 7 is the best operating system ever made in the whole history of the universe. There we go. So I will screenshot that and put that on my memory stick, which isn't currently plugged in to the board. So let's find a USB port that works. Yep, that one looked like it worked. That will do. I'll need to create a new folder. Wow. And also I need to ditch the optical drive as well. It's annoying. Ryzen 7 1800X. I like to have all my screenshots as a JPEG. 1800X at 3.7 gigahertz, and my @ symbol is American, so that's annoying. And it got in R15 618 points, which is pretty sad and miserable. And that screenshot isn't valid for hardware bot because I haven't got the thing up here, but I don't really care because I'm rather hoping I'll get a higher score than that by the end of today. And if not, then it's going to be pretty boring. So we're also going to run a Cinebench R11.5. So I'll run it in normal person mode first. So just press run like a potato. Yeah, if I switch off 7 cores it might overclock faster, that's a good point. So it's going around this fairly slowly. I mean, Pretty sure an i5 could go that fast if it was clocked at like 10 gigahertz. 18.02 points. So again, not the best score I've ever seen, but you know, this is stock speed, so I suppose it's probably the highest stock run that I've ever seen, to be honest. But it's I've had a 5960X and I've got some dual 8-core Xeons as well, so obviously they're faster. So I'm only going to run the multi-thread benchmark this time, so hopefully it'll be a bit quicker. So it's probably about halfway through the run right now, I hope. Coming to the end. I haven't actually timed it, so I don't know, so we'll have to see. I can be able to tell anyway because the mouse will move when it's finished. Yep, it's done. Right, let's have a look what score it got. 18.02, that's exactly the same as last time. How spectacular is that? I'll let it run its single thread test, even though it's fairly slow and boring. Don't worry, just wait until we get on SuperPi 32M, then you'll be bored. This is just the beginning, really. It's quite funny as well, you know, because there was a very nice 5960X on the Overclockers members market. I think that went for about £400, and it will actually do 4.8 to 4.9 gigahertz underwater at about 1.35 to 1.4 volts, which is pretty nice. So I could have bought that, but I decided to buy this instead, and there is a very good reason to buy like a Ryzen chip over, say, a 5960X. And for liquid nitrogen benching, if you use a 5960X on a Gigabyte X99 SoC Champion, like I would be if I was doing that kind of thing, I could guarantee you that the pile of X99 SoC Champions that were dead would probably fill up my room within maybe 2 or 3 benching sessions. Whereas with AMD boards, because they've only got half the number of memory slots to go wrong, or memory channels, and also the sockets are PGA, it's a lot smaller, they don't tend to die as often, which is quite nice. Although saying that, I haven't actually tested this on LN2 yet, so you know, it could spontaneously combust, but hopefully I'll have a better board by then anyway, and it won't just blow up or something. But X99 is not a reliable platform for LN2 unless you're quite experienced with your insulation, and because I'm not, I'd prefer to do it on an AMD CPU and board that was way cheaper than having to fork out for X99 boards all the time. Well, it's definitely taking its time. Pretty sure I'm a lot older now than I was when this started, when the benchmark started, that is. I'm expecting it to get about maybe 1.78ish points, so we'll see anyway. 1.83, slightly faster than I expected. Right. So anyway, we'll get a screenshot of that. That was kind of triggering. I could see the lag on OBS out the corner of my eye as I press Control Alt Delete then. Come on, open CPU Z. This is the other problem with having a low IPC CPU. It can't open CPU Z fast enough. It's clearly a CPU issue. If it did 10 GHz, it would open CPU Z really fast and probably crash. So, yeah, we'll get a lovely screenshot of that. This is at 11.5 and we got 18.02, and that is actually valid for hardware bot because I remembered to put the orange bar thing in there, so that's all good. Not that I'll be subbing that. So what other tests do we want to do at stock? We'll do a W prime benchmark. How about that? So I don't know whether you've ever run this before, but basically you just type in 16 threads and press go, and that is incredibly slow, I think. Let me check other people's scores. So that took 4.7 seconds, and there's only one person at 4.2, and it took them 3.86 seconds. It's quite possible that SMT does not work on this benchmark, so I'll try it with 8 threads as well. So it did 4.759. It's actually a bit slower with SMT turned off, so it is just genuinely slow for W prime. That's good to know. So it prefers the full 16 threads. So 4.68 seconds. Let's see if we can get it a bit faster. You haven't missed much, to be honest. I mean, all I've done is built the rig up. I'll give you a little show of what we've done so far. So we've got the Ryzen R7 1800X and the Asus Prime motherboard, which I've ripped the box apart of to get the driver discount, so I can't show you that. But I will show you the board in a minute. You just get the tripod, which is hooked on the other tripod, and it's actually around the leg of it, which is kind of annoying. There we go. So there you can see the motherboard. The heatsink is cable tied on, as you can see, because I haven't got any AM4 mounts yet, and we've just got a single 140mm Fantex fan, which I'll change when we start overclocking, and there's RGB LEDs to make the computer go faster. It's like neon for cars, and the camera's spun around a bit. There we go. Right, we've run Cinebench and got some fairly mediocre scores for a CPU of this caliber, but it's still at stock speed. We haven't started. Yes, very Linus on the cable ties. He would be proud if I still watched his videos. I actually unsubscribed because they are kind of crap and just clickbait these days, unfortunately. But yeah, Linus would definitely be proud with the cable ties. I am still running the old BIOS as well, by the way. So these scores could potentially improve quite shortly, and actually I'm going to ditch this other tripod out of the way to make it easier for me, so bear with me a couple of seconds. This live stream is just the best. Very raw. There's no fake or tweak benchmarks going to be done here. I know the media has gone absolutely bonkers recently with Ryzen gaming benchmarks, and to be honest, I couldn't care less about playing games. I've got this CPU purely for 3D benchmarking, So I'm kind of hoping that it actually works for 3D Mark Vantage, 3D Mark 11 and 3D Mark Firestrike. And if it doesn't, then I'm kind of stuffed really, because I don't really want to buy a 5960X, but if I have to, I will do. Anyway, we'll run 1024M, which is another benchmark that's just loads and loads of scrolling numbers. It's actually pretty damn fast, 12% of it already. So no, this isn't the launch BIOS. There's actually quite a few BIOSes for this board. There is the 0233 BIOS from the 20th of January, which is the launch BIOS that the reviewers got, or the early reviews got. And there is a 0404 BIOS from the 10th of February, which most of the reviewers probably will have got if they got their boards in decent time. And then there's the 0502 BIOS, which we are currently running on, and that's what's come with my board, which is from the 24th of February. And then there was a BIOS update on the 28th of February, which was 0504 from 0502. So that's actually only a small improvement in that BIOS, hopefully. So apparently it doesn't actually improve system stability, it only enhances memory compatibility. Well, that's what it says anyway. So anyway, it's taken 91 seconds to do W prime 1024M, and if I keep talking at this rate I'm going to lose my voice pretty quick, but we shall see what other people have got. There's one other person who's run this benchmark so far at 4.074 gigahertz underwater, and they got a score of 1 minute 22 seconds, and this took 91, which is 1 minute 31 seconds. This CPU is completely stock speed, if I haven't said that 1,000 times already, but you never know, someone might have joined the stream. So it's running at 3.7 gigahertz, by the way, on the auto boosty thingamajig. I think the stock speed of this CPU is supposed to be 3.6, so it's not really boosting that high on all 4 cores, is it, to be honest? So yeah. So I will save this screenshot rather quickly. Well, I don't know if I've ever saved a screenshot slowly on purpose, but whatever. 91.463. Yes. There we go. So we're getting all these stock benchmarks out of the way at the moment, so they'll be pretty slow and pretty boring. So we're going to do SuperPi 1M. So I'm going to end that. Now this is where the AMD CPUs really struggled, like the FX ones was on SuperPi. So oh great, I have to untick all this shit. There we go, CPU 0. So what I do to run SuperPi is I run 512K twice and then run 1M. But it won't be very efficient anyway because I haven't rebooted. But we're just getting some baseline stock scores that you could get if you had a Ryzen chip, which you probably don't because there's like a million back orders of them at the moment. Well, here in the UK there is anyway. You can't actually get a motherboard anywhere, I don't think. Camera's falling over. There we go. Right, 1M. Off it goes. We'll see what other people are getting on HardwareBot, but there aren't actually that many subs, unfortunately. So 7 seconds, but that guy was on LN2 at 5.4 gigahertz nearly, and it's taken us 10 seconds, which is That's actually pretty damn good for 3.7 gigahertz, you know. And considering the RAM's running at craptastic timings and speed, it's running at 2133. I have DDR3 on like Sandy Bridge CPUs, which is faster than that. So actually this might have been running at 4 point whatever gigahertz it's boosting to, because it is single thread, but I'll call it 3.7 anyway, because I mean really it is 3.7 gigahertz that it's running at. Print screen that. So we're getting some stock results down here. Now unfortunately the next test is going to be SuperPi 32M, which I'm not even going to reboot for, and it's going to be highly boring for you guys to watch, and I apologise for that, but it must be done in order for there we go. In order to get some stock results, I'm not going to be running them 3 times either, because I'm not doing a professional review. I'm just getting some stock results to see how terrible it is at stock, and that is all. So we are going to close Explorer, because we don't literally want to be waiting here for weeks. So I don't want to die of old age while this is running. 32M, off it goes. You will get to watch the highly exciting one line of text pop up, say every 30 seconds or so. 2933 megahertz. Hello, the new person in the chat. 2933 megahertz. If you want 3000, you'll struggle. I should theoretically struggle with this board, because I don't think it has base clock overclocking, which is really stupid of me to even buy this board, because I love base clock overclocking, but apparently you need an external clock generator to generate the base clock, and the only way to get over 3000 megahertz working properly is to use the base clock. So I would be able to hit maybe 3200, maybe 3400 if I was lucky, if I could touch the base clock, but I'm presuming I can't. So yeah, 2933, 2800 I'll be happy with. You can't actually change the timings, can you? So yeah, that's a bit crap. Can't do much memory optimization, to be honest, on this, which is kind of disappointing. Even forcing it to run CL15 would have been kind of nice. I'm actually going to try and tighten the CPU cooler down a bit more. So that's just my screwdriver banging on the desk there, so sorry about that. Still going anyway, it hasn't crashed, which is nice. I did get some Haribo as well, because I bought it from OC UK. So yeah, if you buy things from OC UK, you get Haribo. And the camera is doing a spectacular job of focusing. You can almost see what it's doing. So it's 2 minutes 20 at loop 6. So this is probably the most boring stream ever, and I will be, if I submit this soon, I will be the first person to have run SuperPi 32M or submit a score with 32M on a Ryzen 1800X. So yeah, that's pretty decent, isn't it? Probably someone else has already run it, but they just didn't submit a score. So I'll submit a score at the end of this stream, hopefully. We've dropped 195 frames. But, to be honest, we could drop 1,000,000 frames and you wouldn't even notice. Running 32M. In fact, I'll put you back on the other tripod so that you can look at the system as well. The only issue is the system isn't particularly exciting, but at least you'll be able to see the RGB, so there you go. So if anyone wants a closer look again around the system, if you've just joined, then just comment in the chat and I'll give you a closer look around the system. We're on loop 12 now at 4 minutes and 37 seconds. So I'm wasting a very, very high amount of time here. Anyone who's not seen it yet, there's the box, the Ryzen 1800X, and you can steal my serial number. Good luck with that. No, actually, I don't think the serial number is even on the top. So yeah, you're all good. You can have a look at that. 1800X. I'll get you the motherboard box. Have a look at again as well. For anyone who hasn't seen the box yet, that is the box. So it's got the just a picture of the board on there, and things on the back that I don't care about. You can see esports gamers, RGB for the esports gamers, because the aura is for the esports gamers. Clearly, it's not in the performance section; it's in the esports section. Very strange. And audio helps with esports as well, apparently. So we're on loop 18, 6 minutes 54 in. It's not as slow as an FX CPU, so you're lucky there. 2 people have stopped watching since starting to run SuperPi 32M. That's good. Glad you're enjoying it. You know someone's a really hardcore viewer when they'll watch a stock CPU run SuperPi 32M and not click off the stream. Loop 20. Seven minutes of nothing exciting happening. RGB gives 400 FPS. Yep. Yep. So it has to be in the esports section. That is correct. I totally agree. Wow. Spectacular. That is great. Loop 22, 8 minutes. Getting some serious speed now. Can feel it. I am just going to find my own stream again, and I'm going to link it somewhere else if I can find the damn thing again. Oh my god, it's finished. Sorry, wait a second. It has finished SuperPi 32M. So there you go. I've got 6 or possibly 7 hardcore viewers, and the rest of them are just, yeah, 6. There we go. 9 minutes 26 seconds. Wow, the speed. So, I'm just going to quickly take a screenshot, and to be honest, I think the only other thing I want to run is Geekbench, and that's about it. So, yeah, we'll run that. Whoops. There we go. Geekbench isn't very exciting to watch either, is it? So that's quite sad. Boo-hoo. .952 seconds. There we go, SuperPi 32M is over, you can all celebrate now. And you get to watch Geekbench 4. So, this is a 64-bit CPU benchmark. Change priority to real time, and off we go. So, it's now running Geekbench 4. I have no idea how fast other people are getting in this thing either. No one's run it ever, or no one's run it on hardware bot, so that's good. So, what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was finding my own stream. There we go. Oh, no one's run it. So hopefully we can get some more noobs in here. Still going. This Geekbench 4, in my opinion, is just like a double length Geekbench 3 with a couple more instructions, so it's not a very exciting benchmark. It's pretty rubbish, to be fair, but it's doing the memory benchmarks at the moment. Now it's moving on to the multi-core benchmarks. It does all the single threaded ones first and then moves across to the multi-threaded ones, so it should get a bit faster. so the unboxing and building bits are done, so I suppose I should rename the stream to live benching. Wow, we've gained back a viewer since we've stopped doing SuperPi 32M, so that's pretty nice. It's still going on these on the Geekbench 4. This is exceptionally slow, so it is possible that turning SMT off may improve this benchmark, but from what I've seen, the benchmarks actually really like SMT, and it's the games which don't benefit from the SMT, so it should be fine. And as usual, the camera isn't straight, but to be fair, if the camera was straight, it wouldn't be a Lawrence stream, really, would it? Wow, probably stop burping. So 3 minutes in, it's nearly done, right at the end now. It's doing memory tests again for some reason. So we have some scores at last. 4,313 on the single core score and nearly 20,000 on the multi-core score. Now then, I don't have anything to compare that to at this very second in time. But I will soon find something to compare it to from my vast hardware library of CPUs that I've benched previously in a second. So let's have a look. My submissions, it will be Geekbench 4 multi-core. So for comparison, my 69 or 5960X in the same benchmark got 28,000 on the multi-core score, and my background's gone. There you go. So that got 28,000 on the multi-core score, but you have to remember that was at 4.8 gigahertz, so that was pretty damn fast, I have to say. And at 5,600 on the single core score, and that was with the memory a lot faster as well, actually. The memory was at 3200, 13, 16, 16, 32, so that's pretty damn rapid. And another good comparison for this CPU would be an i5 6500, which is a locked i5, a Skylake one, and that got 18,450 at 5.3 gigahertz on single stage phase cooling. So obviously that wasn't very stock at all, but there you go. So a Ryzen is barely faster than a i5 6500 in Geekbench 4, so you can go cry about that. I'm fortunately not going to, because obviously I've already got the scores for the global points with the 5960X previously. So now we're going to run the Geekbench 3, which is shorter, so I'm sure you'll enjoy that a bit better, hopefully. If it'll open, there we go. We're going to run it in 64-bit mode, because I have the 64-bit mode, so why wouldn't I run it in that? Unless you buy it, you can only run it in 32-bit, so I might get a higher score than you would, but because all of my other scores were done in 64-bit, it's only fair that I do this CPU in 64-bit. So for comparison in Geekbench 3, before it finishes, my dual 8-core Xeons get 36,000, and my 5960X got 33,936, but that was at 5.979 gigahertz. So that was pretty damn fast on that 5960X there. That is actually very impressive indeed. That was a good effort, I have to say, even if I do say so myself. But the single core score from my 5960X was 4,853. Stock versus stock? No, because I don't have any stock results from the 5960X, because I only benched it at 4.8 gigahertz to, well, 4.75 to like 4. I don't know what it was, 4.9. Is that the stock? Right, here we go. So this is a 4.9, no, 4.8 gigahertz. Have I typed that in wrong then? It's quite possible. Yeah, I did type it in wrong. So 4.8 gigahertz 5960X versus a 3.7 gigahertz Ryzen chip. So the 5960X scored 4,853 on the single core and 33,936 on the multi-thread score, and that was at 4.8 gigahertz. 4.8 was actually 4.797. I submitted it wrong as 4.9. So I'm an idiot, because I never thought I got it to 4.9. That would have required way too much voltage for water cooling anyway. So yeah, we'll take some screenshots here. So I think a couple of people have just joined the stream, possibly. Yep, they have. So people who've joined the stream, I will give you a look around the system in a second to show you what's going down. Bench 4, this is Geekbench 3 that we've just run. 43, 42 and 3756. Okay, so it's clearly a lot better at Geekbench 3 than it is at Geekbench 4. So I think Geekbench 4 is more heavily weighed towards the memory kind of things. So that's why X99 does so well at it, because it's got quad channel RAM. So it has effectively double the bandwidth, even though no program on earth uses that apart from Geekbench 4. So for anyone who's just joined the stream, we're running a Asus Prime X370 Pro with the RGB to make it go faster, and we're running 2x4 gigabytes of Team Group Extreme memory. One of the memory sticks has got the heat spreader removed. We're running a Fantex cooler that is cable tied because I haven't got any mounts for it yet, and we're running a single 140mm fan. For the graphics card, we've got a lovely GT610, and there's a bit of a look at the bottom of the board. It doesn't have any onboard buttons, it doesn't have a post readout, it doesn't have base clock support. It's fairly rubbish actually, but it does have a PS2 port, which saved us, and I've also had to use this amazing thing called a DVD drive, which I haven't used for ages, and I had to hack out of a Cool Master case on live stream, so that was interesting. So I'll just stick you back on the tripod here. I'll be with you in 2 seconds again. Right, so that is, as far as I'm aware, all of the benchmarks that I have on this computer, I think. Let's have a look. We might have a hardware bot X265, but it's unlikely. Nope. Okay, we don't have that. We have... yeah. Okay, so that is it for the stock benchmark runs. So I'll just go through those with you a second for anyone new to the stream. Oh, I've got the hardware bot 265 benchmark on here actually, but I won't run it anyway because I can't be bothered. Anyway, so here we have Geekbench. Need to move your forwards again so you can see the down screen. So this is all at stock speeds, by the way. So that is Geekbench 3, that is Geekbench 4, that is Cinebench R11.5, that is Cinebench R15, and that's the old version of R15. That is SuperPi 32M. No, that is 1M. There you go, you can see. That is 32M. You can see we've got 9 minutes 26. The camera's a bit derpy, but whatever. And W prime 32M, 4.68 seconds. And the cable's coming loose, so it keeps on glitching out, I think. And then there's W prime 124M on the bottom there, and we're getting some kind of weird artifacting dropping out thingy-majig from pulling on the cable, I hope. So that is the stock benchmarks. We've gained a couple of people. Right. Right. Hello, Flying Irishman. We're going to reboot and we're going to start overclocking this. I'm definitely not going to be enabling XMP while the camera is failing miserably. There we go. I'm definitely not going to be enabling XMP on my memory because it's 3866 megahertz and that would not go very well at all. So we're going to go back into the BIOS, which you can't see very well unfortunately, and the camera is doing a spectacular job at focusing, I have to say. So we're going to go into the BIOS and start overclocking this thing on this BIOS as well. Come on, post please. Right, so we are in the BIOS, which looks kind of there we go. So I think the line bits coming down here was confusing. We'll get out of idiot mode again into normal people mode. You can hear the optical drive or fan or something buzzing, so I'll unplug whatever that is. There we go. We'll unplug the optical drive while it was still spinning, but don't really care. So here we go, memory frequency. We're not going to touch that first. We're going to do a manual CPU clock. Now FID, I have no idea what that is. Aha, this is the frequency thing. And what's this? I don't know what that is. 8. Okay, right. So apparently that makes the frequency go down. So I have no idea what I'm doing here because I've never run this platform before. So what are we going to go with then? Clearly not 22, whatever this is. It's not good on 22. So I wonder if this is the base clock. Maybe not. I have no idea what this is. An FID. Does it say what it is anywhere? Not a clue. This is why you should watch motherboard reviews. 200, that's 5 gigahertz, that's too fast. 125, that's too slow. 150, 3.75. Okay, so I'm not entirely sure how this thing works. but we've disabled power saving mode. I don't know what TPU is. Oh, we have got timing control. So I don't know what anyone was on about with that. I don't know if it'll actually let you set it, but it is there. There might not be a command rate or something, I think someone was saying, but a lot of the memory timings do seem to be there. VRM, we've got a load line calibration system here, current system, just like older chips. I don't know what those are. DRAM voltage, I know what that is. 1.35 volts we go. That's yellow apparently. I wonder what it goes red at. That's pretty pathetic. Right, so CPU 1.8 voltage. Oh, great. I have no idea what any of these things are, so this is brilliant. Let's have a look at the CPU configuration here. PSS, not a clue what that is. NX mode, not a clue what that is. Core leveling mode, automatic. Well, I don't really want that at all, to be honest. SMV, not a clue. It's interesting. I have no idea what any of this does. Onboard things. Don't know what that does. Network, hard drives, USB things, AMD CBS. Oh, core performance boost. Aha! Disabled. We don't want any core performance boost. Global C state disabled. This is better. Right. Now we're getting somewhere here. We've disabled things. CPU's at plus 30 degrees. That's fine for me. Now I want to change the CPU voltage, whatever that one is. So I don't know how to do that on this board. It's fan control. So that is a good point. Where are the voltages for this? I suppose that one there is the CPU voltage. So 1.4 volts. Maybe start at 1.38. Oops. 2 volts. 2 volts. We're at 2 volts. No, it's alright. We'll start at 1.4. See how it goes. Oh dear. Someone should have done a Ryzen overclocking guide, that's all I can say. This thing here, the DID and the FID, these things, I don't know what these do. So we're going to start with the DID on 10 because I like 10, and I'm going to go for a 3.8 gigahertz overclock. I think that is doable. We'll see what the chat's saying anyway. 8 gigahertz, isn't this FSB? Invest in another camera. I'm going to get a capture card. I know you can't see anything in the BIOS. I wonder if I turn the light off it'll make it better. That made it any better? No, not really. It's too dark. Asus need to make a light themed BIOS. So I'm going to try and boot in this, which is 3.8 gigahertz, and we will see what happens. I've no idea what's going to happen at all. So don't know if it's posting because no post readout. It's always good. Yeah, well, it's posted, so we got somewhere. Starting Windows. This is going well so far. so. There we go. Lovely jubbly. Right. I'm actually going to change the screen resolution to like that one. There we go. You can see the screen a bit better now. And wait a sec. I don't know which colour's actually better. I think that grey colour's a bit better. We'll see anyway. No, it's still a bit too washed out, I think. There we go. Yeah, that's probably best. So we're at 1.4 volts on the CPU with the load line calibration on auto. So it'll probably be like this with the voltage. Yeah. See, I've set it to 1.4 volts and CPU-Z is reading 1.37 volts. But we are at 3.8 gigahertz and 99 on the bus speed, so I suppose that kind of worked. Yeah, we will run a benchmark and see what happens. So I'll just run in normal mode to start with, and you can see our old score there, or not, at the bottom of the screen. I need the other tripod again. Wait a second. You can see our old score there. God damn it, and it's finished already. So we've got 1653, and I will I'll just screw the tripod on a second. Oh, sorry. I'm not really that sorry, to be honest, but whatever. There you go. It's impressive how it's out of focus all the time. I do actually wonder how it manages to be this bad, but I think I need a capture card. Right, so we've got 1653, so that's kind of terrible. So we're going to close Explorer and ditch CPU-Zs and run in real time. And I'm actually not going to do the single thread this time around because it's too slow. So I'm going to run that in a sec. There we go. So fingers crossed we get a higher score. So it shouldn't take too long to finish. Hopefully it's finished now. Yep, it has. 1664, so we are definitely improving here. So that is quite nice. So this is only 100 megahertz increase from stock, remember, so it's not really that much of an increase, to be honest, is it? So we are going to try go up another 100 megahertz at the same voltage and see what happens. Now the memory's still at stock as well, so you have to remember that. So we've got 1664, and that is up from 1618, so these CPUs have a huge amount of IPC, and the simultaneous multi-threading is actually really good on these CPUs when it works like it does in Cinebench. So we're going to go for a higher overclock. So I'm going to go back into the BIOS. I'm going to go for a 3.9 gigahertz, 1.4 volts. Pretty slow to reboot. F7. Right, so need to further increase. I'm going to increase the FID first. Oh, not that high. So we're going to try for 3.9 and see how this goes with 195 on the FID. See what happens. The VRM is not even warm to touch all the heat sinks, so they're pretty damn cold. So that's good. It's managed to post. It's managing to window. So just drop the resolution down. Oh, bollocks. There we go. So we are in at 3.9 in theory. Very good. Just under 3.9, same voltage, which is nice. We'll see how much voltage the load line calibration gives it when we press run. So the load line calibration looks like it's doing a pretty good job. It's reading 1.46 to 1.395 volts in CPU-Z, spiking at 1.417 volts. So yeah, that's actually pretty good on Asus's part there for the LLC. And we've got 1699. That is a fairly decent speed, I would say anyway. It's respectable for an 8-core CPU at only 3.9 gigahertz. Pretty nice. So again, I'm going to close Explorer and run it in real time. Again, just the multi-thread. I don't really care about the single thread at the moment. So we'll go for File, run select all selected tests. No. I have no idea how to install Windows 10 on a USB drive. Aha! So we've broken 1700. This is good. So I'm not even at 4 gigahertz, and it is already getting pretty quick. Now, I did do a sneaky peek on Linus Tech Tips of a score that I saw a while ago, and if you look on the Cinebench spreadsheet which I put on there, I think you will find that one second, AM4, here we go. So a Ryzen 1800X at 4 GHz doing 1730 something and 170 I presume on the core, although I left the X there and I can't remember what it was. So, whoops, that's a wallpaper. I wanted the notepad. So, there we go. Doing pretty well here, I think. Considering the memory's still at stock speed, I haven't even touched that yet. So hopefully it'll respond well to that as well. And this is the non-new version of Cinebench, which AMD sort of helped the people over at Cinebench tweak. So this is 3.9 GHz. Super. This is getting pretty intense now. There's no tuning software from the OS for this, and if there was I wouldn't use it anyway, so you'll have to deal with me going into the BIOS every time I get a score to go higher. So we're going to try it for 4 trigger hertz now. If it gets into the BIOS, there we go. Right, so I'm going to again increase this FID. You can actually kind of see it on the screen. So we're going to go for a full 4 GHz, and yeah, we're keeping the DID at 10 and the FID at 200. So fingers crossed. We're still at 1.4 volts. Okay, the 4 GHz run on hardware bot scored 1765 with 2933 memory. Okay then. So at 4 GHz, when I've got this to 4 GHz, we will try and beat that if it's stable. So we are getting into Windows, which is nice. At this point I might actually change the fan for a slightly more aggressive fan. So I'm just going to get some blue tack to hold it down. I do not want fans flying everywhere. So I'm going to switch out the Fantex fan for a Thermalright Silver Arrow SBE Extreme fan, which is orange and does 2350 RPM, so you'll definitely be able to hear it. And if you can't hear it, then I would recommend probably going and seeing someone who tests your ears. I'll leave you a nice CPU Z screen of 4 GHz to look at while I change the fan over. So the CPU is going to be running kind of passive for a second. But hopefully it's a very brief amount of time. I'll blue tack it in. So I'm sticking the fan in now. You'll be able to hear it in a sec. And off it goes. There we go. It is going now. You may be able to hear it. So that should keep that nice and chilly. Right, so again, Cinebench R15. Thank you whoever posted the score from Hardware Bot. Who was that? Scouse29k. Thank you very much for saying what the top score on Hardware Bot at 4 GHz was. That is very useful information. I do appreciate that. So, it's going around. Again, same voltage, 1740, and it did peak at 1.426 volts that time. So that's a pretty decent voltage, I'd say, for this 4 trigger hertz overclock. So we'll now run it in the real time priority at the side of the screen. I can literally feel the system sort of rising in speed as we go up the frequencies, and the amount of Ryzen jokes you can make is brilliant as well. So it's going again now. So I hope it's finished by now. So I'm just going to move the mouse a bit. Yep, it has indeed finished, that's good. So we've scored 1744. As you can see, the real time isn't making a lot of difference, but it's making a little bit of difference. And the little bit of difference could, you know, mean the difference between first place and second place. So we like to have a decent bit of difference. So I wonder if the memory is being overclocked at all. No. So the memory is not being overclocked at all by what I'm changing in the BIOS, which is the... is it the FID or the DID? I don't know. But whatever. We will start to bump up that memory speed and see how much difference it makes after this run. Now we're at 4 gigahertz, so we're still on the 2133 RAM, which is pretty craptastic. So 1744, we have 1765 to beat at this speed, so we will beat him at this speed, hopefully. Otherwise I'm going to look like a bit of an idiot. But yeah, we're going to go for higher memory speed now. So we'll just do it up one step at a time, because I like to train the memory to make sure that it works all of these speeds. The other problem is I can't see the temperatures, so the CPU could be like 1,000,000 degrees right now and I'd never know. But as long as it doesn't shut off, that means it's fine, right? Because Intel CPUs only go up to like 90 degrees or 100 degrees before they shut off. This is running at 39 at idle, it's perfect. So what have we got here? Memory frequency, here we go. So I'm going to change it to DDR4 2400. And just see what happens, just see what the auto timing's set basically, and we'll go from there. 11 people watching. Hello new people to the stream. I'm sorry that I haven't got a capture card. Well, I'm not that sorry to be honest, but I haven't got one for now. I've only got a few subscribers, so it's not really worth me buying one yet, as they're not the cheapest thing and I'd rather buy more hardware. But we are currently benching a Ryzen 7 1800X, which is clocked at 4 gigahertz. We've just done a run of Cinebench and got 1744 in that. So yeah, we are now running with slightly higher memory speed. So I've got to 4 gigahertz and now I'm trying to increase the memory speed. So I'll open up Cinebench here and we'll open up CPU Z, which seems to be reporting the voltages, I would hope, fairly accurately. The load line calibration, it looks to be okay on this board, but I can't measure it exactly, but from what CPU Z's saying, looks pretty damn good. So I should have confirmed that the memory was actually at 2400 before I started running it, but it'll only take a few seconds anyway. But it is definitely noticeably faster than when it was at stock speed, now that it's at 4 GHz, I have to say. Especially running this. Seems to take less time to go around. So 1749, so it's helped a little bit. And it is running at 2400, but as you can see there is a spectacular set of timings there. 18, 17, 17, 40, 57. That is awful, awful. It was 15, 15, 15 at 21.33, but we've got a higher score anyway, so who really cares? I don't know if anyone's watching the voltage while I'm running that, but that would be good if someone could tell me what voltage it peaked at on that run. Yeah, I will be breaking 2000 CV. Definitely breaking 2000 CB on single stage phase, but I do need to drill the holes for the mounts for that. So it should be a case of just filing the current holes or making them bigger. So there we go, 1761, and we're still at 4 GHz on the 2400 MHz memory. So yeah, 2133 clearly sucks. So I'm definitely not going to be using that again. And it also means we've nearly beaten that guy on Hardware Bot, who was running at 2933 MHz. It clearly wasn't as pro at running Cinebench as I am. Although saying that, the board might stop here and not go any higher, so that would be a fail if that did happen. So VRM temperature test, which is me putting my hand on it. It's warm. It's not hot at all. It's probably a bit colder than I am, and I'm not a very warm person, so I suppose it's pretty chill. So we're still at 4 GHz, 1761. I wonder if we managed to get 1800. I will create a new file. So we'll restart and increase that memory speed again. Yes, single stage phase. We will be hitting the single stage phase when I've drilled the holes. I've actually got my Z97 board set up for phase cooling at the minute because I have a Pentium on there. A Pentium G3258, which I was using about a week ago to do like 5.4 GHz in benchmarks and about 5.7 GHz for a CPU Z validation. It's not the best chip ever, but this is how we're going. 2666. Here we go. See if this will boot. I've heard from a few people that getting the cooling at the moment is just an air cooler. I will show you. So I've had a few reviewers say they've had trouble getting past 2400, and the board is actually boot looping at the minute. It is booting and turning off multiple times. So this is the cooling that we're using at the moment. It's a Fantex cooler that's cable tied on, and it's just got a single 2300 RPM fan. We have got the GT610 in there, so this is all on air cooling, and there is a nice Team Group extreme memory in there. That's 2 by 4 gigs. You can hear the fan come on. I'm not sure whether this is actually going to boot up or not. We are running the Asus Prime X370 Pro board, which I keep forgetting the name of without having to turn around and look at the box. And I'm currently trying to put you back on the tripod, by the way. So this is taking quite a lot of RAM training to boot this time. and it has managed to display things on the screen. Oh. So this is 2666 on the memory that it's attempting to boot at the minute, so hopefully that goes well. Oh yeah, it is a great setup. Well, unfortunately my AM4 mounts from Fantex and also from Thermalright didn't arrive, so I thought I might as well just cable tie it, because you know, the water block, I could actually cable tie a water block to it, I'm pretty sure, but I'll have to look into that later, because my water blocks have holes for Intel, so I'd have to put the cable tied through the Intel holes to water cool it. So that could actually be possible later down the line. 12 people watching. This is a new record. So we're still running the Cinebenches, but I'm just going to check if that RAM actually booted or whether it's gone back to the 2133 crap that it was running before. Yeah, it's gone back to 2133. So 2666 was a no-go at 4 gigahertz. That is interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set the timings myself in the BIOS, and hopefully that actually works, because yes, we may give the memory more voltage, we'll see. It did like to boot loop when I set the memory to 2666, and this board is not known for being the best on memory, although the newer BIOS version that I haven't got yet did say improved memory compatibility, so maybe that's improved speed on the memory. Anyway, we'll soon find out. I can't remember where the RAM timings are. They are down there. There we go. So we'll go with 19, 20, 20. Interesting. 38. That will about 20 as well, I think. There we go. So we'll try and boot at 2666 again with the nice loose memory timings. Hopefully it'll do it. Yeah, if you send me your 5960X, I'll break 2000 quite easily on single stage phase or liquid nitrogen, but bear in mind my motherboard might die in the process, so there is that. It is currently trying to boot the 2666 memory. Looks like it's having a bit better luck this time than it was last time when it was on auto timings. Why did you get a mainboard? Well, the reason why I didn't get an overclocking motherboard to start with is because even though Asus will tell you that the Crosshair 6 Hero is the top Asus overclocking board for AM4, which is true currently, in the next few weeks and months more motherboards will be released from other manufacturers, possibly a Asus Maximus 6 formula, not Maximus, Crosshair 6 formula. There might be an Extreme. There could possibly be a ASRock OC formula that might be coming at some point, and there could also be other overclocking boards from other manufacturers like BioStar, potentially. It's not booted it. Oh, this is a bit annoying. So this is the reason I got this board, is basically when these other better boards come out than the Hero and it gets destroyed in everything, I'd rather buy one of those than spend £250 on a hero now. I'd rather spend £300 on a better board later down the line and not have to sell my hero, which was the best board and now isn't, if you see what I mean. No, I don't have Ada 64 installed. Yeah, the memory sucks, to be honest, at the moment. I don't think going any looser than this is actually going to help as much, to be honest. I might just stick to 2400 megahertz for now, and put the timings back on auto, and then what I'll do is I'll manually come in to the BIOS again afterwards, set them to what the BIOS is setting them on auto, and then tweak them myself to make them lower. You do have to remember that this isn't a B-die kit, which the Ryzen chips do prefer, even though they can't run it at the same speed as Intel chips. I think they do prefer B-die. But I could get the Ada 64 benchmark for the latency testing on the memory, but I would suspect it's pretty damn slow, considering it's dual channel and it's supposed to be running at like 3800 megahertz and it isn't. So everything prefers B-die. Indeed it does. I will actually get some eventually. I was thinking of getting some about getting some before Ryzen came out, but then I saw how great the memory controller was on Ryzen and was like, nah, I'll leave it for now. So I'll just check I've booted back in at 2400, and then we'll do a bit of memory training to train the memory, because it needs training like a dog. Right, there we go. So this is the timings for 2400 megahertz, 18, 17, 17, 40. Right. So what I'm going to do is I am going to reboot and change the timings. I'm also going to try and get both sides of the monitor in focus, but it's actually very difficult when you're using a webcam. I've been streaming now for nearly 3 hours, so that's pretty impressive. I will need to eat something at some point, and I'll probably be streaming tomorrow as well, because this Ryzen sort of platform is going to be my my whole life. I can't remember what timings it was now. I think it was 18, 17, 17, not a clue what that was, 40. Have a go. And I'm sorry about the screen being blurry in the BIOS. I only just realised. It's getting pretty chilly in here, I have to admit. This Ryzen CPU, if you want a heater for the winter, FX 9590 all the way. Much better than the Ryzen at heating things. It's getting pretty chilly in here. Well, it feels pretty chilly, but the temperature thing over there says it's 19 degrees. It might be because I'm not moving around much, but it says it's 19 degrees. And that's Celsius, not Fahrenheit. Before anyone says. Don't use Fahrenheit in the UK, because we don't do that. Oh, bollocks. There we go. Right. CPU Z. Right, so I have indeed managed to achieve those clocks which I put in the BIOS with 2400, so I will now lower them one at a time, and we'll do a bit of memory training, see if we can get them down to like 14, 16, 16. That would probably do. That would indeed do. It depends on this memory controller, I suppose, doesn't it? But I don't know what people were on about not being able to set the RAM timings manually. I thought they meant that you couldn't set them at all, which would have been terrible, like only the primary timings. Which would have been terrible, but it's just the command rate that you can't set, which is fine by me. For now, anyway. So, we'll go with that. See what happens. That might be too much of a big jump for it, but we'll soon find out anyway. 2 sticks, trying Z14, 14, 14, okay. Ah, that's good. The AMD told reviewers to test it at 2666 on the memory, on the Asus Crosshair, the Gigabyte Aorus Gaming 5, and what was the other board they got? The MSI Pro Carbon, I think, was the other board that the reviewers got. This is a lower end board, so it's kind of terrible. But I am not running the latest BIOS on the motherboard, so I'm probably not doing myself any favours by doing this. But I do want to compare the two BIOSes together. So, that is interesting. I'm pretty sure I changed that to 16 and it's changed it back to 17. But we'll run Cinebench anyway and see what happens now that I've tightened the timings a little bit. Just a little bit, not too much. Just go a little bit at a time. 1765 is the score we're trying to beat, I think, at RGB. Yeah, you want them RGB Trident Zs. Definitely. They make it go faster. Like the RGB on this board. On the bottom there. That makes it go faster. That's why the Ryzen's so fast, because it's got RGB on board. So that was a terrible score, but you have to remember we need to run it in real time to get the maximum performance out of it. So we're going to ditch the Explorer, Dora the Explorer, and real time this. Run all selected tests. So it should only be a couple of seconds. Now RGB makes everything faster, it's a proven fact. It's like putting neon lights and stickers on your car and fart cans, makes it go faster. That 4133 kit, if that's B-die, that should easily do 4000 like 12, 11, 11 on like an Apex, but you don't have an Apex, do you? Oh yeah, I can't remember. You have a Maximus Formula or a Maximus Extreme. Right, we've got a worse score with lower memory timings, so this is making perfect sense. And it may look like it's frozen, but it hasn't, it's just real time. So what it must be doing, it must have mucked with the secondary timings and put it all out of whack, so we'll see what happens anyway. Yeah, 748. So we're having some minor issues. Hopefully these will be fixed when I install the latest BIOS, which for some reason I'm refusing to install. Alright, okay, the formula. Yeah, You see, you need an Apex really to get the maximum out of your memory. An Apex or the MOCF. I know that Lays has the MOCF, which I was actually waiting for, but they brought it out too late for me to get it on Z170, unfortunately. I already had the big OCF by the time they brought it out, which was a bit sad, but oh well. So timing control again, we're going to go 16, 15, 15, and I'm actually going to change that one to 15 as well. And we're going to drop this all the way down to 34 and try again. I have got the memory voltage manually set to 1.35 volts. How long will it take you to set up the phase? Set up the phase would be about maybe 5 minutes at most, but I need to drill the holes in the mounts, and I also would need to insulate the board. I could live stream insulating the board if people want to see how to insulate the motherboard, but I can have the phase set up fairly quickly once the holes are drilled and everything. It's just a case of turning it on and waiting for like 10 minutes for the evaporator head to cool down, and then it would be good to go after that. So I reckon a good 4-hour stream would probably cover a single benchmark on phase cooling properly anyway. So timing wise now we should be even lower if it hasn't unset what I set it at. Super. 15, 16, 16, 56. We have to watch this TRC as well down here, because that one can be a bit sneaky in going up and ruining your all your hard work that you did tuning your memory clocks. So we'll see how low can she go. Yeah, unfortunately I'm not going to be doing phase today. Definitely not doing phase today, because like I say, I need to actually drill the mounts and everything for it, and I do need to work out the maximum I can do on air first, and figure out all the new things in the BIOS. I don't want to be going straight to phase, but I will go straight to phase from air cooling if people want me to skip the water cooling bit, but probably not going straight to phase right now, because I haven't had much time with the board yet at all. I mean, I've literally only had it a couple of hours, so I don't want to destroy it already. So I'd have to cut the air cooler off as well, and those cable ties are expensive. If you want to see a insulated motherboard though, I do have a Z97 board that's all prepped over here, so I can just pull that off for you and show you that. It's actually quite easy to insulate for phase cooling, a lot easier than LN2, because it's not as cold, so you don't get half as much ice build up. So I will try and move the camera, but basically that is a Z97 SoC Force with a Pentium G3258, and that's all the insulation I use for the phase cooler on that. So I just have to put the putty around on the X370 board and then go for it, really. That's it. And then on the back, this is the plate that I need to drill the mounts in for the extra holes. So these ones at the end here are the AM3 mounts, so I just need to drill a hole slightly to, I think, that slightly that way, sort of to the inside but out, further in that way but further down that way, and then it's just got some paper covering the board and some armor flex on the back of that to insulate the back plate from the board and stop the back of the board freezing up. On LN2 you'd actually need to insulate the back of the motherboard as well, because that gets pretty frosty. So we're still not getting a higher score, which is a bit disappointing, even though the memory timings are going down, but the score is still kind of going up, so we'll keep at it. And then if we can't get the memory to get us that 1765, we'll just keep increasing the core clock until it explodes. I'll just give it one more run and then we'll go back into the BIOS. I won't be doing water today either. I'll probably do water tomorrow, because my plan is I'm going to be doing air cooling, getting used to the board. I want to get all my memory timings sorted out and all things like that. Then I want to step up the cooling once I've done that. And the other thing is I'm not looking at temperatures as well, so I would like to get a piece of software that monitors temperatures, even probably while I'm still on air cooling. So I do need to do a bit of research over this week, and when every day I'm streaming I won't be doing or getting any tools or utilities or whatever. So we have actually matched the score that we got before, so that's alright. But yeah, it's just a question of patience at the moment, really. If I'd got it on Friday, if the CPU and board had come on Friday like it was supposed to, I would have been doing this air-cooled stream on Friday when I had all day, because I took the day off. And then hardware monitor, is the latest version of hardware monitor good? I'll try that then. Yeah, I'll do water before I go to phase then. Yeah. But I would have had all weekend to test this, but unfortunately it literally just came today, so I'm probably not going to get stuff done very quickly, unfortunately. So we'll go all the way down to 28, because we're only at 2400 megahertz, aren't we? So we'll see if this works. I don't think we'll get down to C12 on this kit, because I've never had it boot C12 on any board in its entire life, no matter what speed it's at. So to be honest, I'm surprised it's booted at C14, 14, 14 right now. So good, we're going into Windows. Yeah, the single core test was pretty slow when I ran it at stock earlier. I got 163 at 3.7 gigahertz. Or was it? Well, it would have been boosting up to 4.1. But yeah, it's pretty slow on the single thread test, which is why I haven't run it. You also missed the great run of SuperPi 32M earlier. That took 9 minutes and 26 seconds. It was just a little bar going down the screen with a line every 30 seconds or so. I lost quite a lot of viewers at that point. But yeah. You also missed the W Prime 124M. That was actually pretty decent. It did that in just over 1 minute 30 seconds at stock. So that wasn't too bad. And this is the old version of Cinebench, by the way. It's not the AMD Special Edition version. So I'd just like to put that out there. 1753. Check my memory timings. Yeah, that's all good. I think this is going fairly well so far. I'll do a single thread test at the end once I've maxed it out on air cooling. Yeah, 163 single core it's not too bad really. I mean, you have to remember it is clocked really, really slowly. So yeah, it's a lot better than my dual 8-core Xeons that I have. And it's not a terrible amount slower than those in the multi-thread tests. So we are done. 762. Hooray, we've got a slightly higher score. We're 1 point nearer. We're trying to hit 1765 at 4 gigahertz. We are artificially limiting ourselves to 4 gigahertz, by the way. We could potentially get higher, but I haven't tried yet. We're only on 1.4 volts at the moment. So there is that. Nice bump. Yeah. Right, let's see what it got. There we go, 1764. Yeah, we're only 1 point away now. And that guy was running what speed on the memory again? 2933, and we're still at 2400. Yeah, I wonder what motherboard he was running on. I know that the MSI Titanium X Power, which is I think the most expensive Ryzen board at the minute, is actually really, really bad for base clock overclocking, which I can't talk, but this board is literally half the price of that board, but it doesn't have a external clock generator, so it can't do base clock overclocking, which is fairly rubbish for what's supposed to be a high-end gaming / overclocking board. So the Gigabyte board has it, the Asus Crosshair has it, the I don't know what the other boards are, ASRock, Tahichi, and the Gaming Pro, whatever it is, Professional. They have external clock gens as well. Good job I haven't got a mechanical keyboard, otherwise you'd hear endless clicking. Come on. Takes a while to post actually. I'm quite disappointed with the post speeds, but that could be an Asus thing, because Asus boards are usually fairly slow to post. I really should have got the Gigabyte board, to be honest, the Gaming 5 or Gaming K7, which are basically the same board. I think they have onboard buttons as well, but they were about £55 more, so I didn't really want to spend that just to sell it later. They do look quite nice though, and they have more RGB, so they might have gone faster than this one. So it looks like it's working at C13, if it gets into Windows that is. Yep, we're in Windows. That's nice. Hopefully it's C13, so that my RAM training is working. It's being a good dog. So we'll get the Cinebench open again. So this is actually the lowest memory timings I've ever had on this kit of memory, on any motherboard ever, especially at this voltage as well. So 13, 13, 13, 26. 26. That is literally like DDR3 level timings right now. But the DDR3 would probably be at like 3000 megahertz-ish at this kind of speed. I've noticed the load line calibration starting to nail the voltage a lot harder now. It's actually peaking at like 1.44 volts now that I've stepped up the memory speed, or memory timings rather. So we're going to go for a real-time run. See if we can beat this guy running the 2933 memory. I'd like to try the other BIOS as well and do a full comparison. To be honest, I should have taken a week off to test this, but yeah, I didn't. Because I thought I'd have a full Friday, full Saturday, full Sunday, and then I'd be ready to go on Monday streaming straight in there. Yeah, I know. The X99 post times are still slower than that though, I think. But yeah, it's not the fastest one ever. 1760, that was the first real-time run. We'll give it another go. I'm getting pretty hungry now as well. We may have to pause the live stream. I'll tell you what, once we've finished and got 1765, I'll have a break for about 45 minutes, half an hour, so that I can go and eat a meal. So that would be nice. It has finished the benchmark just now. 1760 again. I'll run it on screen and then off screen again. So in theory this should be faster, because I have lowered all the timings again. So we'll see. Yeah, I haven't got used to the BIOS on this board at all, to be honest. And I don't really like Asus BIOSes at the best of times. So it is very interesting how the RAM timings seem to affect the score based on just arbitrary things, but it must be changing the secondary timings down this stack to get lower scores and higher scores, even though the CAS latency and all that lot's set lower than it was before. So temperature wise, according to the temperature thing, it's still 19 degrees, but it does definitely feel colder than that, so I don't quite know what's going on there. Maybe it's me that needs recalibrating. Way 1766 with 2400 megahertz memory. There you go, people. If you wanna beat people with 2933 megahertz memory on a Ryzen CPU, all you need to do is stick it to 2400 and drop them timings down like a boss. So I'm just going to have a quick look on HardwareBot and see where we've got to in terms of the rankings for Cinebench. So I'll show you the stock scores. I don't know if you can see that on the screen, possibly not. There you go. When it focuses, come on. Focus, focus. I have no idea why it has such a hard time focusing. There we go, that's alright, you can see that. So you can see the stock Ryzen got 1618, and then at 3.8 we got 1664, 3.9 1705, and then at the 4.4 gigahertz stock with the memory on 2133 we got 1744, and we've built that up to 1766, which is a pretty decent jump. That's the equivalent of going up 50 megahertz on the core. So Yeah, I will still be near the bottom of the rankings because lots of people are using LN2. I do realise that. But it doesn't really matter because as time goes on and people get binned chips, they'll get faster and faster anyway, so let's have a look. Oh yes, we are nearly at the bottom. We are 8th out of 10 people currently, once I submit this. So yeah, it's pretty low down. The guy running 29.33 was running 16.16, 16.39, 69. So yeah, we're running much tighter timings than him. And the next guy up is at 1840 at 4.175 gigahertz on water cooling. So, and he actually used an MSI board. Wow, that was brave. But anyway, we've got a place. So I'm actually going to pause the stream here. I'll be back in about 35 to 40 minutes, maybe less. It depends how fast I manage to eat. And yeah, I will catch you guys a bit later on. We've streamed for 3 hours and 22 minutes for the first section, so I think that's a pretty decent decent first bit of the stream length kind of thing. So I'll just give you a quick look around the system again before we finish this part of the stream. So that is the amazing VRM there, cable ties, the memory which is 2 by 4 gigabytes, and it is Samsung E-Die, or yeah, it is E-Die I think. And then that is the GT610 and the RGB bits just on the audio area. So yeah, that's about it for now. I'll catch you guys in a few minutes.